In this video, we are going to be showing you how to stop unwanted Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Hello? It's the IRS? What? No way. We need to stop these scam and spam calls. And in this video, we're going to be showing you exactly how to do that. We're going to be breaking down how those scam and spam calls actually happen and how you can make sure that your information is not being used by scammers and spammers. And how do I know this? I know this because I have a company called Signal House. I'm a co-founder of Signal House. We're a messaging provider that empowers businesses to send consented messages to their customers, but we're constantly fighting scams and spams ourselves to make sure that our network is clean so that none of the scams and spams that you're getting on your handset are coming from Signal House. So I know what those scammers are doing, and I'm going to arm you with the information you need to prevent it happening to you. So let's break this down. Spam calls are generally because your name and phone number ended up on a list. These lists are shared and resold many times. And so how did your information get on that list in the first place? Well, one part is if there was kind of a data breach of some kind, then your information can be shared and sold in that way. And so if it is a data breach, that is one possibility, but that is a little bit more rare. Generally, your phone number is going to be because you actually consented to receive messaging about something in the past, and that has been shared and sold in this long game of consent telephone to where you're getting some far off thing that you never imagined that you would actually be getting messaging about. So let's break down a situation where you consented to receive messaging about auto insurance. So you went to buy a new car and you wanted to see new auto rates. It's been 10 years since you bought a car and you want to see what else is out there. So you get the quotes, you decide on a product, and you move on with your day. But what if one of those insurance companies sold your phone number and information to an auto repair shop? Because if you need auto insurance, you may also need auto repair. Now that auto repair shop has then sold it to auto detailing, that auto detailing to auto enthusiasts. And now you're getting a phone call about donating to the Corvette Club that meets down at the pier on Wednesdays. And you're like, what is going on? I don't want to consent to receive messaging about this. And so the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission, recently tried to shut this practice down by their one-to-one consent decree. Now, this has been kicked out about a year with the new administration, so this is not coming into play. So because of this, you are not protected against those calls. You need to take steps to make sure that you do not have those calls. So it is perfectly legal, and by the way, I'm not an attorney, but it is perfectly legal for them to share this data and those individuals to call you in this current infrastructure, so long as you are not on the do not call list. So if you're on the do not call list, they cannot contact you. But if you're not on the DNC list, they can legally contact you so long as they're not using an automated telephone dialing system. But after all of these different Supreme Court cases and everything else, it is a little bit gray what actually falls into that, illegal means of contacting people. So what's important for you, the consumer, to know is that you being on the DNC is your best way to prevent scam texts and scam calls. So add your number to the DNC list. This doesn't mean that businesses are unable to reach you. In fact, businesses are still able to reach you so long as you provide your express prior written consent to be contacted by them. So when you go on a website, you click the button that you want to learn more and you put your phone number in, those businesses will still be able to contact you, but other businesses won't be able to solicit you. So this means that you are only getting contacted by companies that you want to be contacted by. Now, in a perfect world, this totally prevents all of the unwanted calls after 30 days of you being on that list. It's the time frame that those companies have to update their internal practices. But what if you do still get a call and a text after those 30 days of a company that you genuinely just did not consent to? Well, that company could be in big trouble because the fines and the penalties associated with unwanted texts and unwanted calls, especially when that individual is on the DNC or has opted out of receiving messaging from that individual, there can be massive penalties per message fees associated with that. And because there's a private right of action, just a legal term that means that citizens can come together in a class action lawsuit for these unwanted texts and calls, this can spiral and snowball into the millions when it comes to penalties that these businesses can face. So how can you make sure that when you are getting these unwanted calls during that 30-day period of time, or unwanted texts specifically, during that 30-day window of time, how can you make sure that you are opting out and reporting these individuals? And you can do this regardless if you're on the DNC or not. But during that 30-day span, here is what you can do to make sure that you opt out and report those phone numbers. So the first thing is that you want to respond stop. If you get a text message from a number that you do not want to get a text message from, or that you did not consent to getting a text message from, respond stop. This is universal. They should have to stop. Now, if they tell you specifically to respond no or something like that in the message, then respond no to opt out. If they give you clear opt-out instructions, do that. But if they don't, stop is going to be the universal stop or unsubscribe. After you have stopped and unsubscribed, click the report junk button. Now, you might think that reporting junk will do both of these things, but it's actually a misconception. So if you respond stop, that goes up through the carrier partners to businesses like Signal House. So we have visibility that you have opted out of that message. When you report something as junk, it goes directly to the carriers. That means the message provider, and thereby the business or individual that is doing that messaging, doesn't actually get visibility that you reported them as junk. And so the carriers do, and the carriers can take action in the form of what we call filtering their messages, or basically just not letting their messages reach the handset of a phone. But what it does not do is it doesn't alert the individual that you don't actually want to receive messaging from them. It blows my mind that it is like this, but it is. So messaging providers and the actual messengers themselves don't get visibility, so they might just message you again, and then you have to report junk again. I mean, it's annoying, but that is the way that it works. And so message providers also have a way of cutting off bad actors, but we are unable to do that unless we see high opt-out rates. That is our mechanism to shut that traffic off. So please respond, stop, and then report junk. Now, finally, last point, if you are a business and you're watching this video because you want to be a good actor in the space, there's a couple things that you can do. The first thing is that you can only respond to people and message people that give you prior express written consent to contact them. That's the number one thing. People only want to be contacted by businesses that they actually consented to receive messaging from. Now, you should also be scrubbing any phone numbers that you get against the do not call registry, so you're not bothering anyone that's on the DNC and opening yourself up for liability. But you should also be looking at the Number Portability Administration Center, or NPAC database, because when a phone number consents to you, it is not the phone number consenting, it is the person. And if that person gets a new phone number and that other phone number that consented to you or provided that consent gets sent to someone else, that individual might be on the do not call registry. And if they are, then you are in deep trouble, or they at least did not consent to receive messaging from you. So what you should do is, before you send out a campaign, all of your numbers you should scan against that NPAC. And if that number has been ported after that individual provided consent, don't message them. Just remove them from the list, because that is not a person that you have consent to message. So thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. Again, we are a messaging provider. We empower businesses to send messages from their software solutions to people's handsets. We specialize in CRMs and Marcom systems, but we can power any company that sends messages to their customers. So please check out our videos, subscribe to our channel, and stick around for our next video. So thank you so much.